Welcome back, everybody. It is predictions day, and I'm not going to butcher his surname because I've just on take number 3 now. Sanny Rudravajhala from BBC EFL Squad Goals. Sanny, how was the pronunciation and how are you doing?
I'm very happy with that pronunciation, Ben. So well done, you.
Pathetic, isn't it? Just to pull back the curtain, I asked about 5 times. I've written it down with like hyphens in it as well. But anyway, are you ready to take on the might of me in the predictions?
I'm nervous because I predicted Germany to win the World Cup, so I don't know why you've asked me to come on this. You know,
Legendary stuff.
I know you had Sam Parkin on last week as well, by the way. So I don't know if you just
worst. He is the worst, honestly. I thought I'd done well last week. And did you ever have that guy at school where you think you've done a really good bit of work and it comes in A- and you're really happy? And then Sam Parkin is like the guy sat next to you who's just got A+. He's just like Proper's teacher's pet, isn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. And if you are solely getting baldy EFL men compliments, your long flowing locks, then you've got 2 in a row. I'm guessing Dean Ashton next week. We'll see.
Oh, we could get Dino on, couldn't we?
You can say that's the niche.
Is this some kind of power play? I'm going to be so bad at the predictions that I'm just, really pushing down the hair angle here. But there we go. I'm just going to go over the score system for everybody, and so you understand, Sanny. So you're going to get a point for getting the home score right. You're going to get a point for getting the away score right. If you get the outcome right, but you don't get the scores right, I'll give you a point as well. If you get all 3, by definition, a correct result, I'm going to give you a bonus as well. So you're going to get 4. That's where that sneaky, awful Sam Parkin did well, because I think he got like 2 perfect scores right as well, which gave him 8 points. So at the top of the leaderboard is Mr. Parkin with 19 points, which I'm a bit worried nobody's ever going to get past. But there we go. Right, let's get into this then. So this is Championship round 28. I did get some feedback, Sanny, that I should be more polite to my guest and ask, do they want to go first or second? So I will give you the choice. Do you want to hear my nonsense first and react to that, or do you want to predict before me?
Do you know what? Let's just throw myself under the bus. I'll go first.
Amazing.
I can take all the stick then. Yeah, they'll be coming. They'll be coming after me at all angles. Are we starting on the Friday?
Let's start on the Friday night then. So Sheffield, and this is getting boring in predictions terms because Sheffield United and Burnley just keep winning week after week after week. So let's start with Sheffield United versus Hull. What are you saying?
Well, I'm going for a home win. Probably a clean sheet, Bramall Lane under the lights Friday night. I'm going to go with 3-0. Actually, I think Hull City, although they've had a bit of a recovery of sorts, a couple of wins recently, but yeah, I think Sheffield United have got too much for them.
Comfortable for the Blades. God, I'm going down the road of just predicting these two to win every single week, but I think it will be closer than you do, even though they did stick. They're just easing through now, and players coming back in as well from injury. So I won't go as comfortable as you, Sanny, but I will go same outcome. I'll go different score. I'll go 2-1. I think Estepinian looks a little bit more back to his August form, doesn't he? So we'll go for Hull to score, but I agree with you on the outcome.
Yeah, 4-4 for Estepinian, isn't it? And what I've done now is Hull fans are all coming for me. So I've started early.
There you go. A little bit of advice here on the predictions: you cannot win. You can please none. You can please none of the people, none of the time. Some very pleased people at the moment will be Burnley fans. They're on a massive win streak, but this may be the hardest game they've had in a fair wee while. But they're at home. Burnley versus West Brom.
Well, it's tough, isn't it? Under Carlos Corberán, they'd only conceded those 2 goals till the Luton 3-2. And Burnley, I know that they were pushed a long way by Coventry City. I know the ITV highlights kind of chopped it down somewhat. But I think, again, at home with that momentum, the amount of depth they've got, I can see a Burnley win, maybe a bit tighter, maybe another 1-0, just like against Coventry, I reckon, to Burnley.
That makes all the sense in the world. I am just bored of predicting the win. So I'm going to throw myself under the bus to use your parlance. And I'm going to go for West Brom to get something. Like you suggested, I think there'll have been some words spoken about the 2 early goals going in against Luton. So I think they'll be a bit tighter. Burnley always score. So I think the only way West Brom get a point would be a 1-1 draw. So I'll go for Burnley to drop some points, which I have absolutely no confidence in that whatsoever. I'm sure they'll win again. But I will go for a 1-1 on that one. You went 1-0. Let me make a note of this as you go. You went 3-0 Blades and I went 2-1. Let's move on to the early kickoff on Saturday, which is Coventry versus Norwich. Norwich had the biggest trampoline loaded, spring rocketed new manager bounce, winning 4-0 at the weekend. Coventry are good, but do Norwich keep the bounce going?
I mean, yeah, that David Wagner effect. Yeah, it was just crazy, wasn't it? And Cover on a bit of a dodgy run, throwing the FA Cup defeat as well. But Gyökeres looks like he's staying, which I'm a little bit surprised about actually. But he could do a goal. I'm going to go with a 1-1. Actually, I think Cov at home. Some clouds lifting for their fans in recent weeks. And Norwich City, I think the recovery's still going. I don't think they'll get another 4-0. So yeah, 1-0. PNE, Preston was terrible, by the way, in that 4-0 defeat to Norwich. So I think, there's a little bit going for Wagner's side there.
Amen. I think the bounce will continue. I think it's going to be one of those. I wouldn't be surprised if it was 1-1 going into the last 10 or something of that nature. But I don't know. Pookie looked very sharp in that last game, and I think he might start. I think he might get to 20 again for the 3rd championship season in a row. So I will add on one extra goal to your prediction, Sanny. I'll go for a 2-1 Norwich. Now, I think I know where you're going after your comments on Preston in the previous game, but Preston are better away from home than they are at home. What do you think, Birmingham, Preston? Birmingham were in FA Cup action at Forest Green last night, so maybe a bit more of a rest. But what are you saying?
Well, I think Ryan Lowe's going to get his Preston players fired up no end, isn't he? That's just what he's like as a manager. And I know Neil Everidge pulled off that triple save, didn't he, for Blues? So I mean, they were pushed again by Forest Green. But yeah, I think Preston a due reaction. I know some of the Birmingham fans haven't been particularly happy with what's been going on with John Eustace, perhaps, and it's not quite coming together as they'd hoped. So I reckon maybe a 2-1 win for Preston North End. But again, it depends. Are they going to have the strikers back? Because they were out in the last game. I don't know what the injury situation there.
And they've got Delap on loan as well now. I don't know.
Yes, of course, yeah.
I don't know whether he played in the last game as well, but it should have a few more options. So 2-1 Preston, says Sanny. I think I might be incredibly dull here and play my 0-0. I just get the impression that both sides would shake hands on a draw. Like you say, after recent results for Birmingham, a draw and a clean sheet. I always throw in a 0-0 somewhere. So apologies if you are at St Andrews, especially if you're travelling from Preston all the way down there. I will play my 0-0 on Birmingham v Preston. And we will move on to probably, pound for pound, the biggest match of the day, this one, given the stakes down the bottom. Blackpool versus Huddersfield. I'm really not sure, so I'll let you go first on this one. Again, Sanny, what do you think, Blackpool, Huddersfield?
Well, I'm just looking at the results, and on my app here, I won't plug one particular one, but there's lots of oranges and reds, very little green in the way of wins. Blackpool not doing really well at all, but yeah, Huddersfield also struggling. So I mean, I feel like I'm the tail's wagging the dog here. Maybe this is my chance to throw in that 0-0. I think both teams are kind of struggling down there. I mean, do we really want to see that? What a horrible game that will be for both sets of fans if it's a 0-0. But yeah, I'm going to go with a goalless draw, I reckon.
So I think Fotheringham is mad, the Huddersfield manager, in a good way. So I don't see it being a draw, because I think either he'll go for it and win, or he'll go for it and leave himself completely open and lose towards the end of the game or something. So, but I don't know which way it's going to go. Blackpool in really poor form. Go on. I'll go for 2-1 Huddersfield. And again, with a complete vote of no confidence for myself in that prediction. Bristol City versus Blackburn Rovers. Now, famous last words here. Bristol City scored 4 at the weekend. Blackburn conceded 4. This is the Championship, remember, though, so away you go.
Yeah, and of course, Bristol City beating Swansea in the FA Cup replay
Yes,
as
they
well.
did.
I think this is all about Bristol City. I think Rovers are going to concede first and lose, which is what they've done all season. So I'm going with a 3-0 win for Bristol City. Semenyo back on form, isn't he? I think Sykes got a double, didn't he? So overall, I think Bristol City are on a good run of form here the last couple of games. So I'm going to go with a home win, and Rovers struggling. Yeah, not very good for them at all at the moment. And whether Brereton Diaz will be back. I know he had personal reasons to be missing the last game for them. But yeah, bit of a struggle for Rovers at the moment.
Yeah, I think with Semenyo, it's one of those ones where if you said to Bristol City fans, if he could have an injury that didn't harm him in any way at all, but kept him out until February the 1st, I think they'd all take that at the moment with the transfer window open. I agree with your logic, so I'm going to agree with your outcome as well. Let's go a decent week for Bristol City then. I'll go a lower score than you, but I agree Blackburn concede first and possibly will lose, although Blackburn confound us every week. Let's go 2-0 Bristol City. And we move on to Cardiff in disarray.
What score did I say, by the way?
3.
That one. 3. Okay, just
no, that holds water with Bristol City a feast or famine. They'll either lose or score 3 or 4, won't they? Cardiff Millwall then. Cardiff sacking a second manager of the season, Mark Hudson, after the post-game press conference. Doesn't smell good, and Millwall not necessarily great away from the Den, but they'll take advantage of a team in disarray, won't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And I know Cardiff City fans, although there's a lot of talk about it being a bit of a harsh sacking, I know they weren't particularly happy with the style of football that's been played. Loads of draws. I think Whitehead's come in in temporary charge. I think it's going to be a draw, to be honest. I think Millwall, disappointing away at Middlesbrough, losing last time out. Maybe a 1-1 here, so no winners. No one's happy.
Yeah, I'm gonna just back against Cardiff, so I'm not really factoring Millwall in as such. Although I would say they're a bad side to play when you're in disarray. They'll shut you out and take their chance and get their goal. So I will go for a Gary Rowett 1-0 away win special with probably a goal from a set play, and Cardiff really need a new manager in. QPR versus Swansea. Hard one to call that one. Away you go.
This is where I've really hurt myself, haven't I? I know Swansea have been on a bit of a recovery. Winning 3-1 at Sunderland. I think part of that was down to Luke O'Nien getting sent off and having all that time against 10 men. But QPR did so well coming back against Reading to draw 2-2 last time out. They've got lots of quality in that squad. There's more to come from Ilias Chair, so I can see a win coming. Swansea on the road haven't been brilliant, so I'm going to go with maybe a 2-0 QPR.
I think you might have stolen my thunder there. I agree with your logic. I don't think Critchley will engage in Russ Martin with a possession game. So I think it's, maybe a bit of a pragmatic approach. And that does tend to work against Swansea, despite, like you say, that good win at Sunderland. So I won't completely pinch your score. I'll pinch your logic and I'll go for a 1-0 to Rangers. It'd be nice to see Chris Willock back in form because he hasn't been playing so well, apparently, my Rangers mates tell me at the moment. Stoke versus Reading, and another one that could go any which way.
Yeah, this is where it can be anything. This is the Championship, isn't it? This is one of those classic games. It will all happen or nothing will happen. Reading have shipped a lot of goals this season, and that early start has certainly tailed off. Whether Ince still has ringing in his ears the incident, what was happening in the FA Cup on the weekend.
I'll ask you about that on the Patreon bit at the end, yeah?
I laughed and I also was very worried about that. Stoke City, as you said, losing Delap. The defeat to Sheffield United wasn't great. Again, in the league, that's 3 losses in a row. Only 1 win in the last 5. So I'm gonna back Ince. I actually formed the Paul Ince Appreciation Society on Facebook. 2006. Loved Paul Ince, love him. I tried to explain that when I saw him, but it was back when Facebook was so new. He just thought I was an absolute maniac, which, to be fair, was true. So I'm going to back him. Let's get a bit of bias there. I'm going to go with a 4-3.
No way.
Yeah, it's all going to happen.
I'm going to say now, you get an extra bonus point if that comes in, because that will be, I will love that if you're right about that one. So I'll give you 5 points if you get that one right instead of the 4. I can't call it at all, so I'm going to hedge my bets in a terribly boring way and pull out the most classic boring 1-1 prediction. Honestly, I think Stoke are favourites, just with Reading's away form not being so good, but not really trusting either, to be honest, at the moment. Watford versus Rotherham. In normal circumstances, you would probably have Watford hot favourites, but Rotherham did get a 4-0 win, and Watford have just tons of injuries. Does that make it any closer?
I think it could do, but then Slaven Bilic has shown what they've got in reserve. This is going to be my game of the day on Squad Goals, actually.
Oh, nice.
Rotherham. And I think, they've got all these young players on the bench that they brought on that helped change the momentum and get them the 2-0 win against Blackpool. But Ismail Assar had a load of chances before that. It was Tony Adeyemo, 17 years old. Great
Amazing.
celebration with his first goal. It was at Hitchin a month ago. So I can see a Watford win. I know Rotherham got that big win, but that was kind of Matt Taylor's second win as manager.
I think they had 4 goals from about 0.3 xG. I think everything flew in, and that, brilliant finishing, but it's not going to happen every week, is it?
So I'm going to back Watford for this one, and because it's my game of the day, I really would like some goals. So I'm going to go with. Well, no, let's be serious here. I'm going to go with 2-0. So not only 2 goals, just the 2 goals. Let's be real.
Yeah.
I've already got carried away with the Watford one, with the Reading one.
That was where
go with the 2-0.
That was where I was going, Sanny. A 2-0. So I will not pinch your score. I don't think Rotherham are going to score in this game, and if I'm not pinching your score, I'll probably have to go up. So Watford fans will laugh at me because they'll think I'm overrating their team, but I'll go 3-0. Apologies in advance. Rotherham fans, I hope I'm wrong. Wigan versus Luton. Haven't they played twice in the FA Cup in the past few days as well? That and a replay as well. So they'll be sick of the sight of each other. Wigan struggling a bit, and Luton right on the edges of the playoffs. How do you see it going?
Yeah, well, it's no wins in 8 now for Wigan, with Luton with that 2-1 win in the FA Cup, and I think we might see similar. As much as I really want Kolo Touré to do well, I know there was a lot of conversation around why is he there or what's he been doing, but actually he's got his badges. He's been working at a load of clubs, gaining experience. Leicester City most recently, but I don't think it's quite his time, at least in this fixture, to get a result here. So I'm going to go for the Luton win. Shall we go another 2-1? Do exactly the same as they did midweek. I've had similar watching Bury. We lost to AFC Wimbledon in the league and the cup. I think it was 5-0 and 5-1. It was awful. I've repressed the memories. So I feel for those Wigan fans, but at least they haven't got as far as travel as Luton. I'm going to go with a Wigan 1, Luton 2.
Yeah, I agree with you, actually. So I will wind back into Nathan Jones Luton territory, and I'll go for one of those classic 0-1s that Luton got very good at pulling out, even though it looks like if they can get Morris and Adebayo playing well at the same time, maybe they'll start hammering the goals in. I'm interested in your take on this last one then, because Borough have been in great form. It's Sunderland versus Borough, by the way. Sunderland are pretty good, and you're right, their game was a little bit washed out by that early red card. Can Borough keep that momentum up and go there and win?
Well, I know they've scored in every game under Michael Carrick, haven't they? So I think that's right. Fake news from me there.
It sounds
I'll say
right,
that on Saturday, and you'd like to think I'll check though. I think that's true.
Yeah.
But this is one of those games where it's a derby. We've not had it for a while, and it's going to be absolutely electric, and that can kind of suck a bit out of it, at least for a while. So I think maybe a 0-0 in the first half, and then maybe start to ratchet up. But maybe a 1-1. I reckon Borough take the lead, and a last gasp equaliser in pure Netflix style to Sunderland, and they're back as they were, and everyone kind of goes home happy and a bit miffed at the same time.
Yeah, I think I think I'm with you. I think I'm going to go draw. I think there'll be goals. Let's go with, if you've taken 1-1. Oh, no one's had a Desmond here, so let's go for a 2-2. There we go. So quick reminder, scores on the doors will be 1 point if you get the home score right, 1 point if you get the away score right. If you get the outcome right, regardless of the score, you get a point as well. And if you get all three, it will be 4. At a bonus point there, and you get 4. Again, Sam Parkin, teacher's pet, Swindon Town legend, got 19 and heads the leaderboard. So, Sanny, if we get anywhere near Mr. Football Super Brain, we'll be happy with that, I think.
Yeah, mine are going to be awful. Absolutely awful. I'm sorry in advance.
What we're going to do, we're going to hang around with Sanny and chat a little bit about squad goals and other BBC stuff. And I want to ask him about what happened last night after he mentioned it now as well. Sanny, just quickly for those people who aren't over on Patreon, where can we find you on Twitter and on BBC?
I'm at SannyR1985. I signed up back when I didn't really know what it was, back in 2009, so I'm stuck with that now. And Squad Goals itself is on your local radio station, on BBC Sounds, on your smart speaker, and online, basically. So we have replaced the looped message that said we don't have the rights to bring you the game. So instead of that looped message, you get us, and we're also on the BBC Sport website, and you get all the live updates on there, which are really useful, and the live tables and stuff. And we have a good laugh with me and Joe Thompson, the hero of EFL hero, isn't he? Come back from cancer twice, scored the goal that kept Rochdale up, relegated Oldham Athletic. We've got Gabriella Dukes, who's a brilliant journalist coming in from Wales, from the Valleys, and then we have a guest every week. This week it's Johnny Crowther, who's another non-league expert. So yeah, lower league expert and non-league. So looking forward to it. We've not actually had the whole gang back together since the start of the new year, so it's going to be a good one, and looking forward to it.
Tremendous stuff. And if you want to hear more about Squad Goals, sign up on Patreon, because we're going to talk all about it in just a minute when this show is finished. Get your own predictions down there in the comments. Usual trigger warning. Sometimes, Sanny, football supporters are more upset by you suggesting their team's going to lose than their team actually losing. And remember, normal rules on the comments. We love to hear from you, but this is a prediction show, so we like to hear from you before the games happen. If you want to be smarty pants after the event, that will go down like an absolute lead balloon with me. So get involved down there in the comments. Yesterday's video is moving really nicely as well on the channel. So if I point up there, you'll see a little bit on the League One promotion race, and really hotting up there between Plymouth, Ipswich and Sheffield Wednesday.